This program was made possible by contributions to your PBS station from viewers like you. Thank you. Welcome to this installment of BSO Backstage, a concert preview. I'm your host, Desiree Duncan, and I'm joined with music director Dan Allcott. Hi, Dan.
Oh, it's so good to be back at Poets.
Yes, it is.
Wonderful apple streusel.
Scone.
Mm-hmm.
You're trying something different every single time we're here.
I like to mix it up.
Yeah, they've definitely added a couple of different new pastries.
Oh yeah,
here.
and lots of gluten-free options.
Mm-hmm.
I have a member of my family that's gluten-free, so it's great. We can come here. Everybody's happy.
Now, if they just made everything vegan, we'd be good to go.
That's not a vegan scone?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
I'm going to risk it.
But yeah, the last concert was incredible. I was able to be there and see the great crowd. Tell us a little bit about how it was for you.
It was fun to open our official subscription season in October, and kind of played to my strength maybe as a conductor. I really like Brahms symphonies. In fact, my first concert here 12 years ago, I conducted a Brahms symphony. And we did a double bill of Brahms, which is something I don't like to do a lot of, have the same composer on a concert. But these were two very large works. The double concerto, which featured our concertmaster, Dr. Chang, on violin, and my friend Wesley Baldwin on cello, and then Brahms' Fourth Symphony, which I'd never conducted before. And it was great to have, we had a sold-out audience there. First concert of the season, and that just makes it the energy is great for us. So,
it was really great to see the cello soloist that you had come in and perform. He said he's a friend of yours, right?
Right. He's from, Wesley teaches at the University of Tennessee, Knoxville, and he and I have become good friends. He runs a cello workshop every winter, and I've been a guest faculty member for, I don't know, maybe 8 years on that workshop. And so he and I are just kind of cello nerds, and we get together and talk about cello stuff and technique. And so, I'd performed that piece with Dr. Chang and Dr. Baldwin last year with the Oak Ridge Symphony. And so they had put so much effort into learning the piece and us getting together and figuring out how it all goes. So I thought, it would be great to be able to do it one more time. So frequently that's the case. We all work very hard on something, and we have one concert and it's gone. So it's nice to be able to use the investment of time.
Now, with Dr. Chang being featured in this last concert, is that something that is a possibility for some other members of the orchestra?
We have actually had several members of our orchestra play solos with the orchestra, and I just kind of cycled it in because part of the excitement of for our concert audience is seeing guests from afar come in, but it's also nice on occasion to have members of the orchestra play solos, and even certain pieces that just have big features are exciting for the audience. Like on our next concert, we're doing Debussy's Prelude to the Afternoon of a Fawn, and it heavily features the flute. It's a flute solo at the beginning, and so that's a great chance for Dr. Martin to be featured. But in this case, this was, a work that, to have two people that I trust and know to be able to come together on something like that. Because if you hire two soloists who maybe haven't worked together, or the coordination of a double concerto makes this a good case to have two friends who are close by to perform.
And have you ever done a show with Wesley?
Yeah, Wesley actually has been a soloist with our orchestra one other time. We premiered a concerto. We did the United States premiere of a concerto by a Dutch composer that I really like named Jacob ter Veldhuis, and Wesley played actually the United States premiere of that piece here, and then we recycled that and did it again in Oak Ridge a couple years after that. So frequently when something really great happens with one place that I'm at, I'm able to recycle that and use the investment of work on it. And
I know with being the conductor of the orchestra, of course, you don't always get to play your instrument, which is also the cello, but are there other opportunities for someone to come see maybe you play?
Right. Well, yeah, actually I play in a piano trio with some friends from Knoxville that we concertize usually in January, because that's the time of the year when I can actually practice, is December, because I don't have too many concerts. So in fact, we're bringing a trio to Cookeville. I think it's January 18th or 20th or something like that, but we'll publicize that. So it'll be fun. I'm playing a Schubert trio and then some modern works by a composer from New York. So I do get to play, not as often as I used to.
Now, will that be at Tech or somewhere
That'll
else?
be at Tech.
Okay,
Yeah.
Cool. So since December's kind of slow for you in that respect, maybe I could book you for a house concert?
Oh, yeah, sure, whatever. No. I'm actually going out of town to do, it's funny, I used to be music director of Atlanta Ballet, where I conducted about 300 performances, I think, over a 10-year period, 200 of which were the Nutcracker. And I've taken a 5-year layoff of the Nutcracker, and this is the first year. Somebody asked me to conduct some Nutcrackers somewhere else, and I said, okay, I'm ready to come back. It's like the Mafia. I got out, and they pulled me back in. So, but I'm excited to do that. I'm actually conducting for the first time in my hometown, in the Quad Cities area in Iowa and Illinois in December. So that'll be fun for me to get to conduct there and also see some of my old friends.
And like you said, you kind of got tired of doing the Nutcracker. I imagine doing any kind of Christmas show, it does get a little tired.
Well, I mean, Nutcracker is a great show, and I wouldn't say that I got tired of it, although we performed it 25 times a year in Atlanta. So every time that we would start a show, and I think about this all the time, because when we're, like when I program Brahms 4, many of the musicians in our orchestra have played Brahms 4. Many of us have played these works before, and frequently I will look, for myself, I'll look at someone in the audience and think, this could be their first time. And in Nutcracker, I always did that. I could just look over the rail of the pit and see a little girl in a velvet skirt, knowing this is the first time she's ever seen the Nutcracker and probably heard a live orchestra. So I always keep that in mind when we have a concert, that yes, we have as you know, we have a very stable subscription audience, over 400, subscribers to our orchestra. But there are a lot of people there who are there for their first time, either hearing us, some for their first time hearing an orchestra. So even though when we're doing a piece of music that was written in 1890 or something like that and has been around for 120 years, I like to think of the people who are hearing it for the first time, and certainly for the live experience. And that's the great thing about live music, is, when we come together with 500 of our friends there, to sit and listen to something together, there's a visceral excitement to it that's just not there in recordings and is not there in a lot of the stuff that we choose to entertain ourselves with these days, which is mostly digital. So it's a very electric performance situation, especially in our hall, which is so intimate.
Mm-hmm. And what's cool about being at the concerts is seeing the diversity of people from throughout the community, all ages, backgrounds, and then also kind of, even though in between movements, there's a little bit of a lull, you'll hear people's response to the last movement, last song. It's really cool to experience.
Yeah, the lobby is also like a really fun place to be, because I come out there after the concert and people, want to talk about their response. And of course, our friend Diane Glasgow is there kind of polling people, and especially young people, about their response to the music. So that's always fun for me to hear something like that.
And I know that you have an education concert coming up.
Actually, it's coming up in November.
Excuse
me.
So
we'll repeat our excerpts from our November concert will be repeated the next day for about 1,500 fourth graders from Putnam and Warren counties. And so we'll do 3 concerts in a row that morning. And again, that's an opportunity. And first of all, it's, a lot of musicians, for some reason, musicians aren't necessarily morning people. I don't get that. I'm not actually a morning people person. But anyway, the energy in that concert is unique and fun. And we know that so many of those people are hearing a live orchestra for the first time. And it's great. A lot of them write letters to us afterwards saying what they enjoyed about the concert. They all like to say what their favorite instrument was. A lot of them will say, you did a really good job conducting, which makes me feel good. Mm-hmm. And it's really a fun concert. And in fact, Dave Johnson, who's well known in Cookeville for theatrical directing and acting and also radio and teaching, he's going to be narrating one of the pieces on that concert. We're actually performing a piece called The Young Person's Guide to the Orchestra by Benjamin Britten. We'll also play that Sunday afternoon on the concert, but we'll do it without the narration because it is it's a theme and variations for orchestra that has also a narration. So Dave will participate with us on the education concerts. I'm really excited to welcome him to the show.
Very cool. Yeah, Dave's a good friend of mine, and he's always involved with the arts, so it's cool to see him. Oh, yeah.
He's a great supporter, and he goes to the symphony all the time, so I thought, who's the right person to narrate this? I think it'd be great to have Dave do that. So.
Well, speaking of new things, I know that you all have a new interim executive director, Susan Luna, so we're going to take a little bit of a break here to get to know more about Susan Luna.
Well, I was very aware of the symphony because, as most people know, my mom, Gail Luna, was the executive director for many years while I was in high school and then in college. And since I did grow up loving the orchestra, learning about the orchestra, knowing everything there is to know about the orchestra, I decided to move to Charleston to go to graduate school. And I received a Master of Public Administration with a concentration in nonprofit management and arts management. I was then lucky enough to be hired at the Charleston Symphony Orchestra as a development and events coordinator. So then I actually had real-world orchestra experience, and when this position opened up, it felt like a perfect fit, and I'm very excited that I'm able to come home and put my experience and knowledge to work with an organization that I love. Well, Charleston is a much bigger orchestra than this, so it's different. And Charleston is a very cultural heavy place, all kinds of music and arts everywhere. It's a fantastic place to live. Not as good as Cokeville, obviously. But, so I learned a lot about how a good orchestra in a very cultural town operates and how to get people involved with people who may not be interested in the orchestra, but wanting to find something new to do or wanting to find all the different cultural aspects in the town, which is something that I want to do here in Cookeville with the Bryan Symphony Orchestra, is make sure that people in town know that we're here and that we are such a huge part of the cultural aspect of Cookeville.
I'm a student at Tennessee Tech. I'll be graduating this December with my cello performance degree. I'm going to take the spring off and then attend next fall and start my master's in business administration. I've always loved playing cello, and I've played with the Bryan Symphony for a few years now, but I really don't like being trapped in a practice room for 4 hours a day, and that's kind of what it takes to be a professional cellist. I would love, obviously I'll play the cello for the rest of my life, but what really piqued my interest was this past summer, I knew I had an interest in the business side of music, and I took an internship with Swanee Summer Music Festival, and I got really involved with that, and I loved every minute of it, and that's when I decided that the business route was the way I wanted to go with music.
Donna is very awesome. The BSO would not be where it is right now if Donna could not have stepped in and done what needed to be done over the past couple of months. She is a very good board president. She did what needed to be done, and she is helping me to figure out what needs to be done, which is good. Some board presidents will just let you do your own thing and not care sometimes, but Donna is not like that. She's been doing everything to help. She has helped make the transition from me coming from Charleston into this position a lot easier. It would have been a lot more difficult if she had not been as helpful and as encouraging and wanting it to succeed as much as I do. The BSO is a nonprofit, and we are fully supported by the community and donations and donors by our loyal subscribers and people who have just randomly come to a concert, or people who don't come to a concert but know how important this is and want to support us. We have tech faculty and tech students who are in the orchestra, which is a great teaching tool for the students, especially. Not many schools anywhere, let alone in Tennessee in the South, can actually participate in a professional orchestra. So it's a great experience for students that they wouldn't be able to get anywhere else.
Well, I certainly never thought that box office was something that I would be doing. More, I have experience with like orchestral management, more so dealing with like the actual musicians and, you know, running rehearsals and stage setup and stuff like that. But it's great. I wanted to get experience in like every side of stuff, and I'm hoping to learn a lot from Susan about nonprofit stuff and all of the stuff that she knows about with grants and money and all of that. I don't really know anything about, so I'm looking forward to learning that. And I'm really getting to work a lot with the hospitality side of things, which I really love, taking care of our guest artists, making sure that food is there for the musicians, that everything's taken care of, and I really like that side of it. And I think that the coolest experience for me has been getting to know all of our season ticket holders and getting to know all of our patrons. I've seen several of them. I've worked the Symphony socials before, so I've seen several of their faces, but getting to know them and getting to interact with them is just really my favorite part of running the box office.
I'm already in the process of trying to put together a young BSO supporters group. I have a couple of people lined up that have volunteered, younger people, to head up this group for me, and we are going to work really hard to try and get younger people involved, because orchestras do tend to have an older demographic, and I don't know if that's just because younger people don't know we're here or that they just don't like us. But either way, we want to try and at least get them to try us before they just assume that, no, classical music is not fun for young people, because it is fun. And we need to get people to realize that. The fact that we are not a metropolitan area and still have a professional orchestra is a huge deal. Most areas our size would never be able to do this. And it just adds so much to the community. The fact that we are live music, and there's a lot of live music in this area, which is fantastic. And there's so many different kinds of live music, and the orchestra is just one component to that. But it's such an important part for the whole community to be able to experience this. And it's a great education tool for students who don't know anything about, for young students, young children who don't know anything about classical music or the orchestra, have a chance to go to the education concert and hear this kind of music for the first time that they wouldn't be able to do if they lived in a smaller town or a town our size that doesn't have an orchestra.
The Cypress String Quartet, I'm really excited for them. And Dan Allcott was in here a few weeks ago, and I have to play on a concert a semester for my scholarship, and I was like, I really want to play on that concert, but he was like, that's going to be a smaller orchestra. So I don't get to play on that concert, but I do get to watch it, and I'm really excited for them to come in. And I get to do the hospitality side for them too, so that'll be really exciting, and get to meet them and stuff like that.
I do want the symphony to be visible, not just with young people, but everyone in the community. I think that there are so many people that live in this area that have no idea that the BSO is here. And just getting our name out there, being visible so that people know we're here and know who we are, know what we do, is very important. And that's something that I want to do more than some other things, is make sure that we're visible to the community.
Well, what a great introduction to Susan Luna. You've been here with us for maybe a month now, right?
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about how it's been working with Dan.
Well,
It's been pretty cool.
It's been cool.
Dan has been great to work with. He's been very helpful in making sure that I know what's going on and that I know what I need to know, but also not telling me necessarily how to do my job, which is good. But yes, he's been great, and everything has been very good so far.
Good job, Dan.
Well, I tried to. I'm giving her the space to be awesome. But it's been fun to get to know, because I've known Susan for a long time, but I haven't known her for a few years. She's been away working for the Charleston Symphony, and to have her back in town, a town that she loves, and she knows a lot of people, and to kind of also, and it's been a few years since she's volunteered for the Bryan Symphony, because she did a lot of volunteer work as she was growing up. I saw you a lot with the Bryan Symphony. So just helping her kind of get up to speed on where we are at this particular phase of the Bryan Symphony. I think she's a great person to have on board for the 21st century, and we're just moving forward. Now that she's had a month to get herself acclimated, it's all forces straight ahead.
So we do have a social this concert. Tell us a little bit about the information for that.
Yes, the social is going to be on Saturday the 15th, which is different from when they usually are. They're usually on Friday night, so I want to make sure everyone knows it is on Saturday night. It's at Charles and Joan Kibbins' house from 7 to 9, and tickets are $30 if reserved in advance and $40 at the door.
What are some of the special things that are going to be happening at this particular social?
Well, Dan is going to be performing
with the guest artist. We were just talking about the fact that I actually used to play the cello. No, that I still play the cello.
Yes.
And in this case, the guest artist for our concert, Shigeo Neriki, who's going to be playing Beethoven Concerto No. 4 on Sunday with us, I first became aware of Shigeo on recordings because he was the accompanist with my cello teacher. And so I would buy a recording of Janos Starker, and Shigeo Neriki would be the pianist. And then I got to hear him live subsequently a lot of the time. And I became reacquainted with him last year. And I'd been in my mind, I've wanted to do Beethoven's Fourth Piano Concerto for a long time here, but I had a certain sound in my mind. I didn't want to just like have any pianist who said they could play, Beethoven 4, and a lot of people play it, but I had my own taste. And I heard Shigeo play some Beethoven last year, and I sent him a note, and he doesn't play a lot in this country. He plays in Japan a lot, and he teaches in the United States, but mostly concertizes in Japan. And I said, would it be possible for you to come down to Cookeville on a weekend and perform a concerto? And he said, of course, and we switched some dates around to accommodate him. And so he's coming. But anyway, and my cello teacher that he recorded with, who was also a mentor of his, died last year. And so Shigeo and I thought at the social that we would play a short piece, one of the ones that they recorded, as a kind of, just in honor of our teacher. And then Shigeo's going to play something else on the piano, and we'll just get a chance to meet him. He's just a very nice and interesting man who's had a very interesting career because he's done a lot of collaborative work with people playing piano for really famous people. So I'm looking forward to seeing him at the social, and that's a good chance for our audience to get a chance to meet him. Especially since he's going to, as soon as we're done at the Beethoven Concerto, I think he'll walk through the lobby and get in his car because he has a flight out of Nashville into Indianapolis that night. So.
And we talked about Beethoven. What else can we expect from the upcoming concert?
As we talked about, the Britten piece is a theme and variations, the one that is also the young person's guide to the orchestra, and it's a theme and variations on some music by Henry Purcell, who was an early English composer. And so I thought it would be great for our audience to get to know Henry Purcell just a little bit better, and I've programmed 2 short suites of string music from an opera that he wrote called The Fairy Queen. And The Fairy Queen was basically the same story as Midsummer Night's Dream, but he wrote an opera for it. And so this is a great chance to kind of link that together. Instead of just having a representation of Purcell in the Britten piece, I thought, well, we'll link it up and do that. So it made for a nice concert of complement of music. We've got French music by Debussy, The Afternoon of a Fawn, that we opened the concert with, and then these 2 English pieces, and then a really standard but great work, the Piano Concerto No. 4 by Beethoven, by a great artist. I think people are just going to be so floored by the sound that Shigeo gets out of a piano. It's such a warm and beautiful sound, and for me, ideal for this piece.
And you have a Claude Debussy?
Yes, that's the Prelude to the Afternoon of a Fawn, and we'll open the concert with that. And part of that was people, a lot of times I talk to, like when I'm in Crossville, we do a luncheon in Crossville, and we talk informally at lunch before I present about the concert. And somebody said, I haven't heard a piece of French music for a year or so. And so I said, okay, I'll program one. And so I chose the Debussy. I talked to Dr. Martin about it because it features a very difficult and beautiful flute part, and he was excited about that. So that was a good fit for this concert.
So speaking of the lunch in Crossville, is that going to be happening this coming?
Yes, it will be on the Wednesday before the concert in Crossville, and reservations can be made by calling the Palace Theater in Crossville.
Okay, cool. Looking forward to that. So tell us who helped make this next concert possible.
The sponsors for this concert are Albert and Rosemary Ponte and Dr. Jason Clompton of Center of Vision, and we're very grateful for all of their support.
Yeah, the Pontes have been longtime supporters of the Bryan Symphony. 2 friends that I made, especially when we started performing operas, they kind of glommed onto me and talked to me about their support for opera. And Dr. Clopton is a new sponsor to the Bryan Symphony. He's been a longtime attender with his wife, Heidi, and his parents actually live in Crossville, and they come to the concerts. And so we've been talking about this kind of opportunity for a couple of years. I'm glad to welcome Jason on to be a sponsor. It's really exciting.
So when is the next concert, and how can folks get tickets?
The next concert is Sunday, November 16th at 3 o'clock, and you can get tickets by calling the BSO office at 525-2633.
Box office opens at 1 o'clock that afternoon. If you don't have tickets, come by. I know people are always worried that we're sold out, but at the last minute, we always have some seats open up because some of our subscribers can't attend, and our ushers and Susan will make sure that you get into the concert.
Very nice. Looking forward to the upcoming concert on November 16th. Thank you for joining us again, Dan and Susan. Welcome.
Thank you.
And we'll see you next time on BSO Backstage, a concert preview.
This program was made possible by contributions to your PBS station from viewers like you. Thank you.